Now, over the years, Snoop Dogg and his overall views, politically speaking, have been transitioning. They have been shifting over and over again. And we know that ever since he made that performance over at the Trump inauguration, he got a lot of backlash for that. He even lost a lot of followers on social media. But in light of all of this, we know that Snoop Dogg really called out everything to do with the inauguration backlash and how it's so, out of place. It's really coming from the wrong place. And he's trying to keep his cool, keep very calm. And that's what I think a lot of people value when it comes down to Snoop Dogg, is that he really does know how to handle a specific negative situation like that. Now, going into the Oscars 2025, we know that this event, this live event, has only been getting worse and worse over the years, especially now in 2025, ever since the Academy handed over 13 nominations to a movie called Emilia Perez, which, by the way, is all about transitioning and a drug lord turning into a female. It's just crazy talk coming from the Academy for even supporting something like that. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. So many others out there like Sylvester Stallone, Mel Gibson, James Woods, Jon Voight, they've been calling out the Oscars, and rightfully so, putting them in the hot seat for doing everything wrong, promoting DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, especially by handing out 13 nominations for a movie that doesn't really have anything to do with merit, professionalism, creativity, or anything like that, artistically driven. Snoop Dogg, however, had the opportunity to completely humiliate the Oscars behind the scenes and everything else going on in the public eye right now. Now, we know that the ratings disaster is looming for this come March. We know that in early March, the Oscars will debut no matter what, but one thing that is inevitable is that there is an ongoing boycott. There are those out there that are unwilling or refuse to even tune into this thing for 1 second. Now, with the woke media in Hollywood now doubling down on their agenda in many cases with DEI, especially with the Oscars 25, one major development going on now involves more to do with Snoop Dogg and what he recently did toward the Academy in the midst of the projected ratings disaster for the Oscars, as multiple producers and showrunners are in panic mode right now after the backlash over Emilia Perez. Now, one crucial update to this scenario now involves how Snoop Dogg recently was approached by the showrunners for the 2025 Oscars and the Academy to take part in a major performance about midway through the event in an attempt to bump up ratings and to also bring in Trump supporters, conservatives, etc., to tune into the Oscars. This was best described as a Hail Mary coming from the Academy to prevent a total ratings disaster, since the middle part of the event, I don't know if you guys knew this, is a crucial moment to keep viewers engaged for the later half. Now, Snoop Dogg was actually asked to perform two of his most popular hits in his career, and in a swift move made by Snoop Dogg, he gave them an ultimatum to either drop DEI from their programming, and if not, he will shoot down this offer to actually perform at the Oscars 25. The Academy refused to drop their doubling down of DEI, and Snoop Dogg made it vividly clear to them that he does not want to associate with those that are pushing any kind of an agenda in 25 or are contributing to a division in the country on live television in 2025. Especially after Snoop is now looking at the world and wildly differently after the cultural shift that happened in 2024. The Oscars reportedly were thrown into a state of panic because every other rapper or singer that they believe would contribute as a remedy to a ratings disaster have now gone out the window. Snoop also had a serious argument with the showrunners since they wanted to pay him far less money than what his value is as a rapper/performer live on stage. The Academy reportedly was only going to pay Snoop far less than what he was negotiating with the showrunners, and this also led to the financial differences that happened behind the scenes. Now, Snoop also lectured the showrunners that DEI is not the way in 2025 to run a business model. Now, guys, before we move on about Snoop Dogg, let me just say one thing. I think he made the right call here. He didn't fall for the trap. He, I think, realized in the moment that the Oscars / the Academy, they saw what he did at the Trump inauguration and how greatly received it truly was, and they were like, hey, you know what, maybe we should cave, maybe we should try to get Snoop Dogg in, since he's now carrying a lot of Trump supporters, and throw him in the mix in a way to bump up ratings. And look, I don't think it would have done anything either way, to be honest with you. This is no shade at Snoop Dogg at all, but I don't believe it would have bumped up ratings at all. Nobody wants to watch the Oscars, period. The end. People have made up their minds already after what they saw, especially with Emilia Perez, and quite frankly, even before the Emilia Perez nominations, 13 nominations, including Best Actress and Best Picture. I mean, are you kidding me? But beyond that, before that even was announced, nobody wanted to tune into the Oscars, especially after all the DEI nonsense that was being thrown out there throughout the entirety of the past couple of years. So, in conjunction with everything here, we know that Snoop, his team, everything to do with his overall career in the music industry colliding with the Oscars, I don't think it would have been the best move for him, to be honest. I think, if anything, it would have been really handing support over to the Oscars, so good on him for declining that offer. But this is where it gets interesting, is that how he wants to only focus on unity, kindness, and respect with his career in the music industry, and he made that very openly clear to the Academy. Now, the Academy is now reportedly out of options for a high-value rapper or performer that would bump up ratings. After the snub from Snoop Dogg, the Academy is also now looking to up their marketing for the event by this February to get the word out more before its debut in March. This is projected to be the worst ratings yet for the Oscars in all of the years it has been on live television. Snoop Dogg is also planning to go on the Joe Rogan podcast and among other popular podcasts to tell his side of the story about what really happened with the Academy years ago as well, when they had multiple disagreements with each other for performing. A-list actors are also now beginning to decline multiple offers to serve as presenters. So they're losing presenters, they're losing performers, they don't know what to do anymore. They're trying to make all these Hail Marys to grab in a different audience than they usually do, and it's just not working for them in the end. And I think, like I said before, Snoop made the ultimate right decision here to just snub them, to really kind of give them that ultimatum, to really inform them why he believes their business model is failing. He made it very clear to them behind closed doors about what's going on. And this is exactly why the showrunners right now are frantically just running around trying to figure out how to get the Academy Awards together for 2025. Again, they shouldn't have announced the 13 nominations for Emilia Perez. That was a very big mistake. I think that was the final nail in the coffin for the Oscars. I mean, it was one thing back in 2022, I believe it was, with the Will Smith slap situation. It's another thing when it comes down to something like this with Emilia Perez. So again, I mean, I think it was the right call for Snoop to really stand his ground and to really stay away from all the drama, to actually stay away from these producers and these showrunners that are obviously disingenuous by giving him this opportunity to come in, when in reality, at the same exact time, I think at the same exact time as well, a lot of people just don't want to deal with this anymore. They don't want to see stuff like this on live television. They don't want to see DEI being doubled down as a response to the executive orders by President Trump. We all know that this was done out of spite. We've never seen any kind of nominations like this before in the Oscars, but I would like to hear what everyone has to say about this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.